Hello, I'm Mark Taylor. I'm the Dean of Warwick Business School, and I'm joined here by Kevin Murray, who is the chairman of Bell Pottinger Group, which is the public relations division of Chime Communications. And Kevin is also the author of the newly published book, The Language of Leaders, and he's here at the Warwick Business School this evening to talk a little bit about his book. So perhaps I can start by asking you, Kevin, what is the language of leaders?
Hello, Mark. I was struggling for an understanding of what the very word language meant, and I went to the dictionary, and the dictionary says language is a system of communication that's used by a community or a country. And I thought that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the system of communication that should be used by leaders to inspire followers and achieve great results.
Mm-hmm. And your book is based upon some research you did actually with CEOs.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that research was?
Yes. I went out to talk to CEOs and chairmen of many global companies and many charities. And I was fortunate enough to get in front of leaders like Ben Verwaayen, CEO of Alcatel-Lucent, through to, at the other end of the alphabet, Paul Polman, the chief executive of Unilever, and all sorts of companies in between, banks, mining companies, retail companies, asking them about leadership communication. What does it take to be a great leader and to get people on board to your vision and to achieve great results? And so I spent an hour with each of them, asking them lots of questions, taping every single word that they uttered. And I then had all of those interviews transcribed. And I spent months poring over what it was they'd said to work out what really were they telling me, other than some really great stories. So the book is a distillation of the things they really told me, and what the common themes were to all of those interviews, as well as many great anecdotes and stories from examples from their careers and companies.
And what are the key messages, the key takeaways from your book?
That the ability to inspire people is now a top 3 skill of leadership. It's risen right up the agenda over the last 5-10 years, driven by this transparent world, the digital world we're living in which people's expectations have been ramped up considerably. Expectation of good corporate behavior, expectation of being consulted, expectations of being involved. All of those things have just massively increased. And that's placed huge demands on leadership, because every move they make is seen, is challenged. So how do you communicate to inspire in this very, very difficult environment? And so the book talks about the ingredients that you need to be thinking about to be inspiring. And the big surprise to me was that it really is not about great oratory. So if you're worried about being a great speech maker and you're not, and therefore you can't be a leader, stop worrying. The issue is all about how well you communicate to connect with your audiences. And that's a very different set of skills.
Yes, well, people used to talk about charismatic leadership. Is that the myth? Is that a myth of charisma? Or?
No, I think that in certain areas you still need leaders who have that charisma and are able to create a followership. But Steve Jobs, charisma, massive followership. But I think there's a difference between a followership and followers. And followers want from their leaders something very different. They don't want a strong, bold, domineering individual who doesn't give them the chance to make decisions, be involved, lead themselves. So the new leadership is all about being a much better facilitator, being more socially aware. Out has gone the idea of only profit as a business motive. You've got to have a purpose beyond profit. And you have to have very high levels of integrity and authenticity, very strong values, and you've got to be passionate. Passion is what moves people, and if you want to move people to behave in ways that help you achieve your goals, you need to recognize you've got to use emotion much more intelligently than we ever have. And all of us have been trained in the power of logic and rationality, and yet it's how people feel that determines how they behave, and how they behave determines whether we can achieve our results as leaders. So this new paradigm of communication is all about how do you connect, how do you make people feel?
Is that akin to the concept of emotional intelligence?
I've had people comparing my thoughts to all of the thinking around emotional intelligence, and yes, I think it probably is. But my message is we need to use emotion intelligently. You can't just pour out emotion and then hope that people will follow you. You need to have emotion and logic, and you need to use both, sometimes in different measure, but you need to be using both all the time, because people won't follow you simply for emotional reasons. They need to have a strong sense of logic as well. So you've got to combine the two. But in terms of everything I understand about emotional intelligence, it's about being more empathetic. I have seen some really clever leaders who I've worked with in the past. In fact, I can't think of any stupid leader I've ever worked with. They're all pretty clever. And some failed and some didn't. And I often think the difference was their ability to inspire people and get people on board to their vision. And that was what caused them to succeed or fail. And it wasn't about how good their plan was or how intelligent they were. It's all about, could I connect? Could I make you want to follow me? And that's a very different set of skills.
And are there any special techniques or tricks you can suggest? Well, not tricks, but techniques where you can suggest for getting people on board with a vision?
Absolutely, and that's what I distilled in the book. I now believe in what I call the 12 principles of leadership communication, and they range from having a very powerful, motivating vision, having a clarity about the future that isn't just about financial or other numerative goals, but is more about the state of relationships and what you need them to be in order to succeed. It's about bringing the outside world in to your own organization much, much more than we've ever been inclined to. It's about conversations. I mean, this was the big thing for me, learning how important conversations are in achieving change. But it's also about being a better listener. It's about being more audience-centric. It's about having a point of view. It's about being a better storyteller. And it's about never, ever being satisfied that you're a good enough communicator. It's about a perpetual quest for mastery of this difficult art of communication.
That's very interesting. I look forward to hearing what you have to say in more depth. Kevin Murray, Chairman of Bell Pottinger, author of The Language of Leaders, thank you very much.
Thank you.